clouds are in the sky. I'm standing there looking at the clouds. I hear this beautiful, soft, angelic, feminine voice say, Bill, just relax. Let the heart go. Just relax. Let it go. Everything in your life you've manifested at some level. Here's where this experience differs from everybody else's I've heard.
Reverend Bill McDonald, welcome to part 3. It has been a pleasure to have you for part 1 and part 2, and I'm so excited to hear you about your third near-death experience.
And hopefully there is no part 4 for a fourth near-death experience.
Right.
I forgot to take my dues on that, right? All right, so where we left me in the Himalayas, and then I come back and I had an operation. Everything looks pretty good, the heart's, but what happened was I kept going back to India, and I was still looking for that yogi on a mountaintop experience. So I kept looking for that great saint or sage, out there to help give you the wisdom you needed. Now at my old age, I realize that, it's all within you already. You don't have to go anywhere. It's an inward journey. You don't have to go looking on the hilltops. You don't have to go falling off a cliff. Anyway, so why I'm one of my trips to India in 2010. This is a 2010 one. I'm in an ashram. And why I'm at the ashram, I have to tell you this story because this is a preliminary builds to the third near-death experience, and it gives it understanding and texture and meaning. So it sounds like it's not related to where we're going, but it will be. So everybody stand by, because I'm going to talk about something that I did not understand when I was there. I had no clue what they were talking about when the guru told me, "Beat it. I want you to go to Pune, to go to this big city." And he says, "I want you to go get a nadi palm leaf reading." And I'm going, what the heck is a nadi palm leaf reading? I'm thinking, I'm nadi, boom, or maybe nadi energy points, or palm reading. Is he reading my palm, or what is this? I don't need this fortune telling stuff. So I told the guru, I said, well, I'm not interested in doing this. He said, I don't believe in that stuff. And he goes, yeah, but it believes in you, and it's your time to go get this done. And I'm going, well, explain to me. So I will tell you how he explained it to me, and how it's been explained later. But basically, 2,500 years ago to over 5,000 years ago, these great spiritual rishis, think of these like saint-like people that were in India. These were highly evolved people, and there was like 18 of these rishis, and they would channel people coming in the future, their lives. And I'm listening to this thinking it doesn't make any sense to me. Channeling, what are they channeling somebody's future? Anyway, and then they would tell this information to somebody, and the guy would scribe it on a palm, from a palm leaf from a palm tree. They cut the little edges off, and they would carve in the body of it, what information is told to them. And apparently, when you reach a certain point of evolution where you're one of the people that this is supposed to be, then you would find it, whether it was 2,000 years later, or 3,000 years later, or 5,000 years later, or 6,000 years later. It didn't matter. It'd be waiting there for you. And I'm going, okay, fine. And then they file these things away based on your fingerprint, thumbprint. Right thumb for a man, left thumbprint for a woman. And all this was like, first time I heard it, I'm going, okay, first off, how are they going to file away by a thumbprint? And then I'm told that, like with astrology, you got 12 zodiac signs, right? So you got 12 basic personality types, and then you have, conjunction with this planet and that planet. So you have variations of that. So with the thumbprint, you got 108 different kinds of indentations and squiggly lines, 108 different categories. So you got 108 instead of 12, right? Then you got variations. And that's how they file these things. No, it didn't make any sense to me, and I had no great faith of finding anything on these things, but the guru said I had to go down and get this thing done, and told me when I went, just give him the thumbprint, don't answer any questions with any substance other than yes or no. I go, what do you mean? He says, well, they'll ask you a series of questions. It's either true or not true, yes or no. That's all you tell them. Don't give them any information. I said, okay, all right. So I go down and I get my thumbprint. And I didn't know at the time because the guru sent me to go down and get it done. So I figured, it'll be there and I'll just get it done. What I didn't know is, as I know now, you get a thumbprint now. There's like 20 places or more in India where this stuff could be stored because they split this millions of these things up. They're in Pune, they're in Delhi, they're in Mumbai, they're all over the place. And then somebody has to go out and go through all these libraries and all these things to find them and to find a group that's closely related to yours, what they call the bundle. And it could take 30 days, 3 months, 6 months, a year, or you may not find it at all. But I gave my thumbprint and I just sat down in the chair and in the place where this is sat, and I'm going, okay, here I am. Because the guy sent me, guru sent me, so therefore I may have it, right? 2 hours later, they got it. It wasn't a big surprise to me because I figured, and then later on I find out these things could take months and months and months and months, right? So mine was apparently written by the original guy, and back 5,000 years ago, and they brought this bundle out. I said, okay. And so they ask you a series of questions. If you say no to any question, they set that aside. That's not you. That's not your reading. I said, okay, fine. So I don't know what they're going to ask. So they go through 6 of these in a bundle. There's it looks like Venetian blinds. They're kind of like pieces like this, and they got a hole in it with a string going through it so they can, it's like Venetian blinds. All right, so it goes through 6 of these because I said no, after a couple questions, no. And then he goes, intuitively, he says, the 7th one is yours. I said, okay, fine. So he goes, your first name is 4 letters long. Well, actually I go by Bill, which is 4 letters long, but technically it's William, which is, but I think, okay, but I go by Bill. So, okay, so I said, okay, I'll give him a yes, soft yes. And he goes, and it starts with B. I go, yeah. And he says, and it's Bill. I said, okay, B-I-L-L, he spells it out. And I said, okay, fine. And he says, and then your father's name was, meaning your father's dead, and your father's name was exactly the same as yours. Well, I'm Junior. Therefore, yeah, my dad's name was Senior, so it's like exactly the same as mine. So I think, okay, so I had to say yes. And then he goes, and your mother's name is, he goes, it starts with M. I go, yeah. And he goes, Marcella. And I go, which is an unusual name in India to be whipping out, right? I said, okay. And then he goes, and your wife's name is Carol. Oh. And then he gave the birth order of my children, and he gave this and that. And 40 things were all boom, boom, boom. And then he finally goes, and your birthday is March 16th, 1946. I'm going, well, that's a good guess. So maybe they went online and looked it up or something. I said, okay. He says, but we're unsure of the hour. Ha ha. All right. So they're unsure of the time. I thought, okay, these guys aren't perfect, right? And he says, well, we think it's between like 1:10, 1:25 or something. And I had to say yes because when I was born, my mother was brought in, and she told them she was delivering me. They didn't believe her, and they gave her an enema. Well, while she's getting an enema and dumping this stuff into a cold steel bowl, right, bedpan, I come out head first, boom, I'm right in this pile of crap. So Yeah, not a very humble beginning to my life, you know, just mouthful of crap, and it's been the same ever since, you know, being Irish, right? You know, just boom. Anyway, so when the doctor finally got there, the doctor wanted to get credit because he wants to get paid for delivering the baby, and he had to ask the nurse, well, what time? They go, well, between 1:05 and 1:25. We lost track, you know. Saying the same thing that they said, and then so he guessed like at 1:10 or something, or made a guess. Same guess these guys said, well, we're going to assign this time to it. So I had to say yes because at the same time it's on my birth certificate, which was a guesswork, and this guy's guesswork, but they both guessed at the same time. And I'm going, all right. So, and then it goes through and it says oh, here's a question we're giving you that determines that this is the right time for you to come in to get this reading. Because if you don't answer this one correctly, then it's not the time to get the reading. I said, okay, after I've been through all these questions. And he says, this thing says you recently worked on a play, but that's because they didn't have movies back then. This is what the guy says. He says, my intuition says you recently worked on a movie, but not as an actor. And I'm going, yes. Because just before I got there, about 3 weeks before I got there, I helped rewrite the ending on a movie. I suggested an ending, and the producers redid it. And so I just did that, and very successfully. And so I had to say yes. I'm thinking, had I been in there the year before, it would have made no sense. If I'd been there the next year, it would have been past the time, right? So then I said yes to that. He says, "Oh, it's the time for your reading. We'll call you back. We're going to do a reading." I was going to pay him, and I thought that was a reading. He goes, "No, that's not the reading. That's just the index card. That's so we know who you are. The reading is a Vedic chart on, you know, and we're going to talk about a significant past life. And we're going to talk about." He had a note from my guru. Basically, he was told to tell him what my worst sin ever was. I said, okay, fine. That's a weird one, but okay. So I sit for 6 hours waiting while they do these charts. Finally bring me up there, and they do this reading and review everything. Right up to the time I walk in there, they got all that information correct. So that's right on. Then he goes, we're going back not to your last life, but to one that ties into why you're connected with who you are at that guru, with the guru at the ashram, and why you're in this situation in your life now. I said, okay, fine. So he goes, in your significant past life that entails what you're going through today, you were a senior monk at an ashram that the current guru that you're spending this time with at the ashram, it was his ashram in Sri Lanka, and you were his senior guy, and this experience. And I said, okay. He says, and you were this, wonderful guy, and you go through all this beautiful stuff, us spiritual and all that crap. It was a great story. But, he says, but you committed your greatest sin ever. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I cut somebody's head off? What did I do, right? So apparently, I fell in love with a woman, didn't do anything, just had the thought, what a beautiful lady she is, had feelings. That was it, and I was kicked out of the ashram because the guru picked up on the thought and cursed my mind. Because, how dare you think about this? You're a senior monk, right? So my worst sin ever was falling in love with the woman, only emotionally, but with no physical activity at all. Anyway, so I end that life with the guru having cursed my mind, sent me out. And my last day of that lifetime, I'm bathing in the Ganges River. And I come up, there's this blaze of light, and there's Lord Shiva. You only see Lord Shiva if you're dead. But there's Lord Shiva. And then I turn into this rainbow. Remember the rainbow body? Right? I turn into a rainbow. Whoosh! And I'm gone. And according to the reading, because I couldn't make up these things. They can make them up, I don't. Anyway, according to that, every lifetime they could look back into, that's how I left every single lifetime in a rainbow body. And then voluntarily come back. Leave, come back. No reason to come back other than for love, I guess. But I come back. So So that was my reading. But on the future stuff, here's where it got interesting. They made all these, this is where we're going to go with the near-death experience. In the future stuff, it told me in 2011, that's like the next year,
Okay.
you got to come back to India and you're going to travel to this Shiva temple in southern India. And when you get there, you're going to see a hill. There's a trail up it, and you're going to walk up this trail 2 to 4 hours. And when you get to the top of the hill, you're going to see this clearing on the top there. And all the great rishis will be there. Like there's 18 rishis. They will be sitting there waiting for you around the sacred fire. And you will not have any questions because you will know all the answers. I don't know what kind of weird prediction is that, right? And then they predicted a couple other things. So, and then they predicted that Babaji would come and, bless me and pour water and stuff on me. And yeah, so I thought it was all symbolic. So, okay, great. So meanwhile, the next year comes. I'm going to India again. I get there, and I have a major heart attack while I'm introducing the guru at an event. Several thousand people are there, and I have a heart attack and end up going to an ER. And of course, the first question they asked me in India at the ER is, what's wrong? How can we help you? Nobody asked about insurance. Anyway, in the ER, my bill at the ER in America was like 300 and some thousand. By the time I got through with everything, my first visit. My bill at the ER in India was $67. Anyway, so I have this heart attack, and then I leave India because I got to come back. I collapse on the airplane. I'm in real bad shape, I finally get back to California and taken to the hospital, and the doctor sees me. I'm 4 days in intensive care, ICU, before they do anything to me because I'm so weak. I just really bad heart attack. So finally, I'm taken in an ambulance to another hospital. They give me surgery. Now here's where we get the good stuff now. You've been waiting for this breathlessly, right? So I get there, and I'm going to have quadruple bypass surgery. Where they're going to open up my chest, stop my heart, stop my lungs, put me on a heart-lung machine, which pumps oxygen and blood in. And so while I'm in that state, basically I'm kept alive on machines. I'm not breathing, and my heart is not beating. So when I asked the doctor, because I'm getting ready to put me under, right, and I go, well, if I'm not breathing and my heart's not beating, he says, yeah, we got to kill you first. Technically you're dead, but we're keeping you alive. And I'm going, well, that's just what I wanted to hear before I go under. Thanks, doc. Because so I go, okay, as long as we got electricity, the machine will keep going. And I look at him, it was his joke, right? And I'm going, what? He says, don't worry about it. It rarely happens. I go, what? Anyway, you don't want a guy with a sense of humor who's getting ready to operate on your heart. Just doesn't make it. So anyway, now, here's where this experience differs from everybody else's I've heard. Most people, they're on an operating table, boom, something happens. You're this ghostly, spiritual apparition, consciousness floating around, whatever, right? You're this disembodied spirit consciousness, right? And you're having this experience, watching everything. That's the normal near-death. So as soon as they give me a shot and boom, I'm out. It's black. I'm out. All of a sudden, immediately, I am standing in India, southern India, in a plaza. Looking around, sun shining down on me. I'm sweating. I'm in a body. And I'm looking around, people bumping into me and everything else, and I feel the sun on my head, and I'm going, I'm in a human body. I'm not an astral being, a ghost, nothing. I got my body, one body, on the table being cut up, ripped apart and all this stuff. And yet, I'm in another body in India at the same exact time that body's on the table. People see me. I mean, because it's like, I'm touching people touching me. It's a crowd of people. And then I see the trail up a hill. I see the temple behind me, and I go, well, this is where I'm supposed to be in January with. I didn't see this as a metaphorical journey. I thought this thing was going to be actually there. But then I thought, well, my body's actually here though. So I'm here physically. So I start walking up the hill. I go, well, what else am I going to do? They can operate on the body about 6 to 8 hours, right? So I might as well kill time while I'm here, right? So I start walking up the hill, and there's no time in this situation. 2-4 hours, who knows how much time has happened on the operating table, but I walk up the hill and I reach the top, and I come to this clearing, and there's these 18 rishis. They got this weird hairdos. If you ever seen pictures and drawings of them, they and the weird beards, and I mean they're an interesting looking group of people, but they're sitting on logs and rocks around this fire, and I'm, gestures sit on, and I don't have a single question. What's the meaning of life? Why are we here? Nothing. It just feels all right. I don't have any questions. And then I see the guru guy, there's ashram I was at, the yogi guy, and he's standing there also. He's got his arms folded, and he goes, Bill, you can skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. I'm going, okay, thanks, all right, great. And big words of wisdom, okay, great. So, but I had been in so much pain from this heart attack, and this is like my 8th or 9th or 10th heart attack, I think, at this time. Maybe my 12th, I don't know, bunch of them, I lost track. So, I've been through a lot. This is not comfortable, and I thought, if this time is it, I'm ready. This is good. I didn't really look forward to going back to that body because the body was really in a bad shape. So I'm sitting there, and this guru keeps telling me not to give up heart. Don't skip you can skip a few beats. Don't give up heart. And I'm going, yeah, okay, fine. So then these clouds are in the sky, and I'm standing there looking at the clouds. And I hear this beautiful, soft, angelic, feminine voice say, Bill, just relax. Let the heart go. Just relax. Let it go. I promise you peace, bliss, love, joy, no pain, rest. Your journey's done. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to go back. You have no karmic reason to go back. You've done everything you're supposed to do. And I'm going, wow, that's beautiful. And then this guru guy from the ashram, he goes, Bill, you don't give up, don't give up the heart. And he keeps going. I said, why? I said, why? She's promised me peace, love, no pain, joy, bliss. What are you promising me? He says, I'm promising you more pain than you ever had in your entire life. I go, what? What kind of sales pitch is this, right? You promised me more pain, more suffering? He says, yeah, more than you ever had. He says, before you used to use your yoga techniques, and you could use yoga to overcome things. And I used to have my teeth drilled, for a cavity, just drilled down. Don't need no shots, just go to the nerve. I don't care. Beep, yeah. It's all mental, right? Just work it out, right? But now he's telling me that I'm going to lose that I'm going to suffer pain like everybody else. I go, why? He says, that way when you learn how to handle your pain, you're able to teach other people how to handle their pain. And that's what I'm doing on my world journey now, my healing tour. Anyway, so this is going back and forth. I'm going, yeah, but she's promising me peace and love and no pain. And then I go, what else you got? So he kind of does this, and the sky opens up, and I see a panorama of face after face after face after face, men, women, children, dogs, some cats, even a bird or two. I mean, just weird stuff, right? You know, people from Spain, people from Portugal, people from Africa, people from China, people from West Virginia, the United States, right? People from everywhere, right? Just boom. And I just see all these faces. And I'm told, he goes, see all those people there? You don't owe them anything. But if you don't come back, they won't get the gift that you can give them. Gift could be love, smile, healing, prayers, something, inspiration. There's a gift that each of these people need that only you can give them. And I'm going, that ain't enough, man. I want out of here, man. I just want out. All of a sudden I feel on the operating table, they're getting ready to jumpstart the heart, right? They still got the chest open, but they got the heart there, and they're getting little paddles, tink, start the heart. And all of a sudden, I'm on the hilltop, and all of a sudden, and boom, I'm back on the table. And in god-awful pain. More pain than I ever had in my life. I go, holy cow. But I got a tube respirator down my throat, and it's taped. Got my eyes taped shut. I'm strapped in, so I don't move while they're doing the operation. And I am fully awake. And I'm hearing the doctor tell the other doctor, hey doctor, I think the patient's waking up now. I don't think the anesthesia is effective anymore. Looks like it's worn off. And then the doctor goes, well, don't worry about it. We only got another 40 minutes. We'll close them up. And I'm going in my mind going, hey! I'm screaming in my mind going, hey, guys, hey, I feel all this. The longest 40 minutes of my life. It was forever. It was like 20 billion years. It was and I'm thinking, I was promised more pain and suffering, and I come back immediately on that table, and I got more pain and suffering because they still got to wire my rib cage back, together, and then they got to staple and stitch it, and they're doing all this cutting and stuff, and I'm going, wow, man, this is crazy. Usually you're in the hospital for surgery, because in America it's all about, you got insurance. They cover you about 4 days in a hospital. Get out, you're good enough, right? Well, I'm there almost a month. Just 3 weeks later, I'm still there, and I'm going through 5 blood transfusions, and I'm still filling up with fluids. I'm not doing good. And every time I went to sleep, every time I drift off unconsciously, I'd be back on the mountaintop again, having this discussion with the guru, saying, "You can skip a few beats, but don't give up heart," and showing me all these people and everything. And I kept having that same vision over and over and over and over again for 3 weeks. So finally, this one night, they're taking me out to have a new procedure because my chest is filling up with fluids. And the bedside phone at the hospital rings, the landline. And I said, I got to answer that. They go, no, we got it. No, I said, I got to answer that. So I pick up the phone and I hear this voice saying, Bill, this is Gurnoff in India. I go, yeah, okay, I know a lot of Gurnoffs. Yeah, like one, right, okay. And he says, then he goes, you could skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. Mm. And I'm going, what'd you say? He says, you could skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. I go, what? And then he says, I just sent 100 people up to the temple to pray for you because I told them that I was going to heal you. Don't embarrass me. Meaning don't die, right? Because it embarrassed him. He just gave his word, right? Oh, jeez, right? So, anyway, there's much more to that story, and it goes much, much deeper. But in essence, one more thing happened that had something to do with the naughty palm leaf reading, because they predicted that thing with the guys on the hilltop, which I thought was interesting. But they also predicted that same year that Babaji, I'd see Babaji, and this great sage, this great avatar, and he'd anoint me and everything. So my last day in the hospital, I'm laying in bed, and I look up, and it's like somebody's taken a crystal bowl and put it over my bed. It's like electricity going, but I can't see anything outside of it. It's like a bowl of energy over my hospital bed. And at the end of the bed is Babaji. He's long black hair, no shirt, no shoes, and he's looking at me. Except this is in America, and it's my vision, right? So this Babaji's got Levi's on, but he's got Levi's on and no shirt, right? And he's pouring this fluid on my head, and he's chanting in some ancient language, and all this stuff. And I thought, well, I'm feeling great love. I'm blissing out, and I'm thinking, I'm probably drugs doing this or something, and nobody's ever going to believe me, and it doesn't matter if it's real or not. But this is what was predicted, and it's happening. This is kind of cool, So I'll never tell anybody because it's. You tell somebody a story that has nothing backed up, it's worthless, right? It's like, yeah, fine, you're on drugs, yeah. So I get home from the hospital, and my daughter comes over and sees me, and she goes, "Hey, Dad, our old neighbor Dave, he went and visited you the other day, or the day before you left the hospital." I go, "No, he didn't." She goes, "Oh yeah, he was there." I said, "No, he wasn't." He said, "He told me," he said, "he went into the room, and then he saw you laying in bed, and you had some crazy young Indian guy with long black hair, no shirt on, no shoes on, pouring stuff on your head, chanting some crazy language, and he thought it was funny and didn't want to embarrass you because he was laughing, so he left."
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I got a validation. So that's why I tell the story. So that tells you my third near-death experience. Also tells you about my naughty palm leaf readings, which is another whole different thing, because there was a lot of stuff predicted in my palm leaf readings, and everything but my death happened.
In your stories, I notice that things do not seem like a coincidence. It doesn't seem like anything is happening just by the chance of it happening. It seems like every single thing is planned on purpose. So do you think coincidences are real?
Everything in your life you've manifested at some level. Pre-life planning, for example, before you're born, karma, past thoughts, actions, deeds, desires, grace. Sometimes you just deserve grace but no divine grace comes to you unless it's earned. Even divine grace is earned. Maybe you've earned it through your tears and remorse and whatever, but everything, you've manifested it in your life. And people that have certain destinies, certain things they have to accomplish, that's why they don't complain when things happen, because it's like, it's all happens as it's supposed to, because all these things led to this moment, led to me being here now. It all leads to all the pieces falling together. And when you're going through them, you don't know what that piece in the jigsaw puzzle goes to until you get the whole picture done. You go, "Oh, that fits perfect right there." You don't know. So I always accept everything as it's supposed to happen. There's no good, no bad. It's like with my cancer on my face right now. It's like, boom, it's what's supposed to happen. And it's helped me with my journey as I go around the world talking to people about self-healing, and then they see pictures of me before. And I don't feel like talking about that, but the nose has been cut off 3 times, amputated 3 times. This nose is totally rebuilt from my shoulder.
How was it cut off? From cancer?
Yeah, cancer. Big, huge top of the head's been cut off 3 times. Forehead's been cut off a couple times. Just 300 and some stitches in his face in the last 3 years. In fact, I'll probably have some more stitches in my face later today. But I look at this stuff that happens, and I go, what's the gift? And the gift is the cancer, because the cancer's taught me how to overcome the pain. So I'm able to teach people the method I use to overcome the pain, which is another whole interview. And because I talked about, remember, part of the thing was teaching people how to overcome pain. I'd have to learn. I had to learn because I was going through, as much fun as it sounds, having your nose cut off is not much fun. Just for the record, it hurts. You got a hole. Woo, Anyway, it hurts. Not just physically, but also psychologically and emotionally. So there you go. You can see a couple of my books in the background sitting there next to the picture there. There's my autobiography, which is Warriors, a Spiritual Odyssey. And then there's the next book after that when I go to India and go through my second and third near-death experience. They're in that book, which is Alchemy of a Warrior's Soul, a Warrior's Heart. I'm working on one now called I Still Remember Tomorrow, which is, I really mean that. I remember tomorrow better than I do yesterday. Remembering the future is not that hard to do. All time is now. And so it's like a radio. People still got radios. That's technology's not totally dead. I hope not. I talk like an 8-track. What do you mean an 8-track? What's an 8-track, Dad? Anyway, so when you change your frequency, your energy frequency, it's like changing channels. You can move and slide along. You could be in this now, or now 100 years from now, or 1,000 years from now. But it's all now, or you can go backwards. It doesn't matter. It's just frequency where you want to focus. Think of this: 8 tracks or videos, VHS. We used to have a place you could rent videos here, Blockbusters. You could rent videos, and if you rented a video and people didn't rewind it, and you brought it home, put it in your thing, you're in the middle of the movie, and you go, "What? How'd this guy end up in jail? He's sick. And anyway, that's like life. You're born and you're in the middle of this video, right? This video. But there's a tape at the beginning of you that you've already lived and you don't remember, and there's tape at the end here, which everything works out, that you don't know because you don't know the future. You're living in this part of the tape. Mm-hmm. So if you had the right machinery, you could go to the beginning or you can go to the end. You can go anywhere in that tape you want. It's the same thing for reality. Reality is wherever your frequency wants to focus. You can slide to the past, you can slide to the future. It's all now.
And that's done by changing your vibration?
Frequency, yes.
How do you go about doing that practically?
Well, meditate. Everything affects your vibration. Meditation, of course. Where your mind's at, where your consciousness is at. Your actions change your frequency. If you're out killing people and torturing animals, and it's going to bring your frequency down, of course. If you're eating a lot of red meat and bacon and ham and all that stuff, that's going to change your frequency. If you eat meat, it's not a sin. It's just, we're talking about frequency, we're talking about energy, vibration. And the reason that is because animals go into a slaughterhouse, there's fear, and they're watching the other animals getting killed around them. Next thing you know, they're getting beaten up and killed, or just their throat slashed. And all that adrenaline and all those hormones go into the meat. You're eating that fear that they had at their last moments of life. So when you're eating beef, how is the beef? That's why you're probably better off, if you are going to eat meat, to something that somebody hunted. Boom,
Right.
Wild meat, boom, that's hunted, and there's a lovingly way to go. It's quick and easy, and the guy thanks the animal and all that, like the Indians used to do. But so, frequency of the food you eat, what you read, what you watch on television or YouTube, all these things affect your frequency. And and that affects your health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health. So to get the higher frequencies, the higher vibrations, you have to be living in a higher frequency state and doing the right things. So if you want to change your frequency for your mental and spiritual and physical health, then there's certain things you can do, and I'll talk about that in one of my upcoming books.
Okay, great. Reverend Bill, thank you so much for your time today. It has been lovely talking to you and hearing about your near-death experiences. This has been part 3, your third near-death experience, but if the people watching want to watch the past 2 near-death experiences, that is part 1 and part 2, so please feel free to watch those as well. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.